Real Talk. My name is Tiara.
I'm Lawanda.
I'm Tiffany.
I'm Jay.
And today Ron is out, but we're going to hold it down. And you guys know we're back to talk about PowerBook 2. This is season 1, episode 7, titled Sex Week. So if you guys hang tight, we'll be right back with you.
Baby, I know where the last one burned you. Know that ain't cool. Wanna show you how I'm nothing like him. Swear that's the truth. So you can't try.
All right, guys, we are back. And like I said, we're talking PowerBook 2. This was a good episode. I did enjoy this one. How did you guys feel about it?
It was cool.
It was good. It was cool.
It wasn't as good as last week to me, but it was good.
Somebody finally handled Riley, so I'm happy.
Yeah, no, I agree. But I agree with you, Jason. I liked last week's episode better, but this one was a good episode too.
Yeah, I feel like things are definitely starting to get way more interesting now. I'll leave that for my predictions. But so it's sex week at school. How about that? So I didn't know that there was such a thing.
I was gonna ask y'all. I was like, I don't remember sex week in college. Maybe I'm that old, but I don't remember sex week.
I'm not that far removed from it, and I surely don't remember sex week.
You got to go to the schools where they do that. There's different schools for everything, and if you know what I mean, I'll leave that alone.
I was about to say, I guess at some schools, I mean, at least for some people, like the athletes and stuff, sex week is every week.
As
Facts too.
Yeah.
Facts.
Yeah, so that was interesting. I thought I was, the only one that was like, hold up, sex week is a thing. But so the kids are basically promoting this thing, throwing the condoms in the classrooms and stuff. So you guys want to talk about Tariq and his fellowship program? He was not chosen to be in this program, which means that that's going to stall him from graduating early. But of course, we know that came with a little a caveat, like Jabari, he threw him a bone. What do you guys think about
trash. Jabari is trash.
Jabari is surely trash. I gotta agree with you this week, Tiffany.
I know one of the comments gonna get on me too because Carrie is too. For sleeping with
both trash.
But Jabari is trash. He is a hater and an F boy.
I was about to say he's a vindictive somebody, ain't he?
I kind of feel like those two characters. I'm sorry.
A thief.
Yeah, he is.
I kind of feel like those two characters are the two. Now, for me, those are the two least liked characters. I wish they kind of cut them, to be honest with you, because I feel they bring that soap opera edge to the show. I think the show has finally got a serious edge to it with the way they're bringing in the storylines for the hood gangster stuff. And I feel like their storyline kind of pushes you back in I feel like I'm watching daytime soap every time the two of them come on the screen. So that's just me.
Listen.
You know what? I think the purpose of them being there is to, like, on the campus life, in terms of Tariq's campus life, I think they're there to add a little bit more drama to that side of
think so too.
His lifestyle.
But last week was so dope. The roles that they played last week was like way more small.
Right.
And it worked to me. It's like last week was like their perfect dynamic for how they should run the show going forward, like as far as the balance of characters. And I felt like those two characters, it was nice when they were a little more in the background. I don't care nothing about.
They're gonna tie in. They're gonna tie in because when you see the previews for next week, Jabari was following Tariq. He gonna get himself in trouble. He might get himself off.
And you know what? So this goes into my predictions because of course Jabari he gave Tariq the card and kind of like outed himself, which Carrie ended up finding out anyway. Like, oh, you sitting up here trying to expose me. Well, you know what? I'm gonna flip the script on you.
Right.
So I like how she handled that. Although she had no business being with Zeke in the first place, but we already talked about that.
No.
But I can see the way that my mind started rolling out because if you've seen the preview for next week, Jabari is talking to his publisher again. And the publisher is saying, oh, so I think it will be really interesting, like a story about a drug dealing family. And I'm like, okay, this is giving me like the Best Man vibes. You remember how Tay Diggs' character wrote all about all this stuff and then it ended up exposing him when people read it?
But
I'm like,
at least
they're gonna end up exposing that
story.
family.
At least Tay Dick's story in The Best Man was at least his story.
Exactly.
Right.
That's true.
It's not this is just all types of wrong.
Yeah,
Exactly. And he's messing with the wrong people because he's gonna get himself knocked off.
Could happen.
Yeah.
And Zeke is all open. He talking about introducing Carrie to Aunt Monet. He doesn't know what she into, so he gonna get Carrie off too.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
But you won't have to worry too much longer about those two characters.
Yeah, I thought it was very naive of Zeke to do that, because Carrie was like, "I'm your professor. You're an athlete. Right. There's no way we can be public." So I was
he's open. He's open. Yeah, you heard him. He was through with the random hoes. Now that he had a real woman now, so.
His word.
She brought on herself. I got no pity for her. I think that she's just stupid as rocks. Listen, I wanted to like her character because in the beginning, her character had just something to her. You kind of felt a little empathetic, feeling for her. Now I'm like, burn them both. Let's get them out of there and get to the real stuff, because the two of them are doing just the dumbest things. And like you said,
they are.
They're gonna.
And Jabari was crazy for just popping up at her house. I'm sorry.
Right. No, you're right. And they're gonna unwittingly, like you said, find themselves in danger. And I'm fine with that now. Now, if something happens to them, I'm okay with that, because Dumb and Dumber need to go.
Well, at least this time they actually took it to the house. They ain't in the office somewhere, not in public, in the bathroom.
You're right about that. Listen, 2 points for that. Not 10 points. You get 2 points for that.
But how insecure is Jabari that he just assumed that she's dating Tariq?
I know. And I think he's seen, Tariq off in the corner talking to her, and he kind of seen how, Tariq, Carrie had her hand on Tariq's shoulder.
Right.
Can we pause it right quick? I had an interruption. Sorry. Hold on. Oh,
I said, what minute mark are we on so we can give Ron a heads up on how many minutes in we are?
Trust me, he'll see it.
I was about to say, because I don't know
if he watching the whole thing.
Listen,
yeah, I don't know if he watches the whole
I'm sorry. Let's see. We'll find it. I'll find it and send it to him. Okay, go ahead.
All right, do the countdown.
Go.
Yeah, so like I was saying, I think that, Carrie, I think that was very dumb of her to bring Tariq to her house, but Jabari was dead wrong for popping up. And on top of that, he really thought usually we just kiss and make up. And I'm like, how do you just assume that somebody's gonna have that kind of mercy on you all the time? I think that's when he really got the hint. He was like, oh, so who is it that's stopping you from coming back this time? Then he heard the shower, and then he's seen the condoms, and then he's seen the Sports Center on TV, and he kind of piecing it all together. So when he went to Tariq talking about, looks like the Knicks or somebody going, right. Tariq is like, what does that have to do with anything?
Right.
Right here to talk about the Knicks.
He sound like a jealous little, I don't know. He just was doing a whole lot for me.
Stalker.
And stuff. Yeah, he did seem stalkerish. And I was just like, wow, you set yourself up for that, because you don't just pop up at somebody's house.
Yeah, he is absolutely crazy. He turning into old boy from You.
Yeah, Joe Goldberg.
Yes. So this week Tariq also, got caught up in the situation with Lauren and Malcolm. And so it was like all of these pop-ups was happening everywhere. Like Lauren's man popped up on her again. He's like, ain't you supposed to be in DC somewhere?
I was just about to say that.
I didn't understand why he was taking those pictures. I guess, I don't know if that's going to come into play somewhere, but that was kind of odd. Him taking the pictures when he walked in on Lauren and Tariq.
Well, he's a lame. He probably gonna send it to her parents.
Yeah.
Because I think it was the parents that really want her to be with him anyway.
Yep. So and that whole family is about image and status. Yeah. And so I think because he's coming from another family that has status as well, I think he's gonna try to blackmail her somehow with those photos. But I liked how Lauren handled herself, because he really tried to play her. Like two men are talking, and Lauren deaded that.
My wife tends to think the guy who plays the character of Malcolm, she said, and no offense to nobody, but he looked a little sweet. She's like, it wasn't a convincing character. And I gotta agree, it just didn't feel like there was ever gonna be any chemistry between those two characters. It's kind of a weird setup to begin with. So to see, her kind of going away with Tariq makes more sense anyway.
He seemed like he could be abusive. His
manipulative.
Completely different with her than when she's with her parents. He's just very domineering and controlling. That's kind of scary to me, because if he's just acting like that with her now and they're just dating, that's not somebody you want to marry, because I don't see that turning out well.
I mean, granted, she was literally straddling him. I mean, that's a little thing to be upset about, but
no, I mean, he said to her, "You're gonna regret this." And that scene reminded me of Stomp the Yard, like when Megan Good's character was breaking up with old boy, and he was like, "If you don't come to your senses, you're gonna lose out on me." That's what Malcolm reminded me of. I was like, "Yeah, another lame."
Yeah. And it looks like Tariq actually messed up his chances with Lauren, because, that scene where he actually gave up his secret to her, and he made it seem like she was trying to seduce him in order to get the secret out of him. And I'm like, Tariq, you just messed up.
No, he did that to cover.
He had blood on his shirt.
He had blood on his shirt. So he didn't want, she started.
Oh, that's right.
He was being ghost in that moment.
Yeah.
That's right. I forgot about that part.
He was thinking on his feet.
Yeah. Tiff, I'm gonna give you this much. Tariq is finally kind of stepping into that ghost zone that you keep trying to put him into. I think him following what's her name? What's the girl's name that was dating this Braden?
Riley.
Oh.
Him following Riley, I thought that was kind of cool. I thought, like you said, him thinking with the blood on his shirt, because it looked like it clicked to him, like, whoa, this going in the wrong direction. And he's thinking a little bit. I'm giving him credit for them at least giving that character some development in that front.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think Courtney's, after the show interview, she was saying that Tariq is a mixture of everybody. He's a little bit of Ghost, he's a little bit of Tommy, he's a little bit of Tasha and Kanan. And so I think that as the show progresses, we're gonna start seeing more of those facets of everybody else showing up in his personality.
I agree.
You know what? That being said, I didn't expect to see that kind of vulnerability when they had to get rid of the body and Drew took control, which kind of proved that Drew might have been able to handle that situation of meeting the with Monet.
Drew showed up this week.
Drew did.
They acclimated him to that. Even though you look at his character, you could say whatever you want. He's an art major. You could say, go into, like I said, the thing about him dating guys. But at the end of the day, he was raised in his family. So the atmosphere is surrounded him for all of his life. So he's like, look, whatever, that might not be what I want to be, but I'm used to this. It's like taking out the trash. You might not enjoy doing it, but you just do it as a routine. I think that Tariq, if you look at it, they already set that up. I think it was last episode when they said, are you a good person or a bad person? And so his whole character is still, okay, he did some dirt, but people think the dirt's behind them. They don't really understand, he's like, I can deal with what I've done in the past, but going forward, he may not want to be into the killing thing so much. He just wants to sling a little weight, make the money, get his mother out of jail. He's got a different routine going, where Drew, he's been brought up in that life all of his existence.
Yeah.
I feel like in that moment, Tariq was experiencing like PTSD because it hasn't been that long since he killed his own dad. So I think all of that is starting to, weigh on him now, his choices.
That's a good point. That's a good point. And you see how he kind of like winced back when he got the blood on his face and everything. So I think you're right about that.
More bodies. See, if you look at any film, the more bodies is a different thing, meaning that if one person killed is one thing, but when you start collecting a crew of people, that's like sociopath kind of stuff. That's not, everybody is not built for that kind of lifestyle. So I think that they're trying to say, you kind of seeing that there's a boundary or a border that even he doesn't want to cross, and he is not that much of an animal that he thinks he is.
Right.
He has
Yeah. And while we're talking about that, so I wanted to get into this whole situation with Monet and her family and Kane and stuff. So the very first scene we seen of this episode, Kane was out there robbing the church. And so, I mean, Jay, you said this last week about him being all emotion and not much strategy at all.
I told you this was coming. Remember I said he's going to go down a whole different avenue after this situation because he's the kind of guy, he says all rules are off, all rules are off. He doesn't have that thing where people have elasticity to them where they pull back in after a certain move or not. He was on a whole nother vibe, and the dudes he was messing with were even worse than him. So that just tells you he gravitates towards the worst. And if somebody's not there to rein him in, he's always going to go too far, and he's always going to go down the wrong path. And you can see now the dynamic of him and Tariq really going back and forth because it's getting ready to come out. It's not there yet. He's got his eyes locked on him, and so he, like I said again, you're talking an animal versus a person who's not really built for that kind of war. See, I think even if you look at Ghost was built for catching bodies. Like
absolutely.
Absolutely. He said we'll do the collector's edition. I'll get as many as I can. But,
right. He gets you up out of there. If he can't pay you off or whatever, you remember what he used to always say, you get ready to get up out of here one way or the other. He and Tommy used to say one way or the other.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, Tommy was built for collecting bodies. Ghost was built for collecting bodies.
2 bits.
Yeah, 2 bits. You look like this. Tariq is more like Tasha in that regard. Tasha is not a killer. She killed Keisha's character, but she was not a killer.
No, she did that out of
more
duress.
like I got backed into a corner.
Yeah, because Keisha went for the gun.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, like.
But you know what? And I wanted to take it back to Kane because I'm thinking about like Jason and talking about like the strategy part. He went in there with like half his mask on and the rest of his face showing. The rest of his crew had tattoos that were very, noticeable, that were gang identifiers. And then it was like, you just really did not think about this. You didn't think it out. Your men are shooting each other in the hallways. It was just so sloppy. And so it was inevitable that they were going to get caught.
And that's crazy. You gonna do that at the church? You gonna really violate the pastor?
Well, you know what? That pastor might have needed to be violated. He was fleecing the flock anyway.
Yeah, he was reminding me of Papa's.
He's talking about preaching about hell and how you get more tithes and offerings when you preach about hell.
Yeah,
but even then, there's rules to everything. And it's kind of, certain things that you just don't do. It's just out of like certain things that show a certain thing about a character. And I felt like what that exposed about his character is that there's literally no limits to this guy.
No limits, no
anybody can get it. There's no, hey,
moral
that's
compass.
the minister, that's your mom's. Look, he knocked his mom's down in the last episode. They knocked the minister out in this episode. This is not a dude with boundaries.
You know what this is echoing for me? Kane for me is echoing Dre, because when we seen Kane, we seen him kill the pastor. I mean, not kill, rob the church this week. But Dre killed Father Callahan. He had a bad relationship with his mother where she iced him out. And now we're seeing the same thing come with Kane. When he got iced out by both Monet and Lorenzo, he turned to crime. Then he's getting more and more ruthless as time goes on. So I just seen that parallel between Dre and Kane, and in their moments of desperation, how they react.
Dre was a little more slimy though. See, Dre was more like
he was definitely slimy.
That you couldn't trust. See, Kane, not Kane, but Kane is way more blunt. He doesn't have any finesse to him. He doesn't have that thing where he's going to let you kind of get ahead of him. He's going to shoot you right on the spot.
Well, hold on. Let me ask you about this, though.
Okay.
What did you think about him trying to make that alliance with Ramirez? Because I was like, that's a little snaky there.
Did I not say this last week? If you listen to what I said last week, I said he's going to create a whole nother avenue that's going to go against what Monet and them are doing. If I saw that trajectory going, because if you look at the character, like I said, this is a guy that's not going to be contained. He is never going to let you buy.
And that's what his dad knows. His dad has been saying that from day one. His dad said he is unpredictable.
Today too. That's not his father. She said that's mine. Did you hear what Matt?
I did hear that. I heard that, Jason. I'm starting to think about what you said now.
Listen, I'm telling you, I'm not no fortune teller, but I'm telling you.
But Courtney said that they are all his kids, though.
And he said that too.
I was wondering if Monet felt like, you know how some parents, like mothers especially, they baby their sons,
the boys,
and it's like, I can do it, but you can't. Like, I can correct him, but you can't correct him.
I'm telling you, that's not his father. I promise you, that's coming out.
And I think what it is I think it's the thing that I think part of it is her saying, look, I'm the one out here, so he's mine. Like I have to say so. You have no room to say anything.
She said last week. She said last week, she's talking to Diane. She said, you and Drew were always good to me, your father, and Kane. Mm-hmm. There's a separation there that I think they're trying to. It's slow. They slow.
It is, because Kane is crazy.
No, I don't think that.
But they make a difference. Son. They make a difference between the three of them.
I don't think his son.
It's always like I don't know.
Outlier.
Yeah, the outlier.
Yeah, I agree with LaWanda on that. I just think that Kane is not. I just think he's so different than the other two. He just has a whole different vibe. But I think that Lorenzo probably raised him. But I bet you they're going to say that's not his kid.
Right, probably. But he knew from jump that he was unpredictable. That's why he kept saying, bring Drew, try to groom Drew to be the lead, because Drew is smart and Kane is a loose cannon, huh? Yeah, that's his son.
Yeah, that's a good point. I'm still keeping my eye open for that storyline to appear. You're starting to convince me a little bit more, and each week. Each week
they keep dropping little believe it. Maybe I'm wrong, but I'm just saying it's just the vibe of it all. She said he's mine. They said you were good to all of us, naming him and like with the parents. It seems as if they're trying to put the Easter egg in there to lay the foundation that maybe that's not the kid. And his black sheep is like on 100. It's like there's no compassion, because think about it like this. Like, Drew would have never got beat up in jail like that from Lorenzo. He wouldn't have did anything to Diana like that. So it's just something about those two people, that dynamic between those two characters. It's like, you ain't my son. And even if it is biologically his son, if that comes out, it still seems as if he's giving him the same treatment as if it was not his son. To me,
I think he wanted to send a message, like what he said to him: "Don't put your hands on my wife no more." And that message needed to be sent. When that happened, I was like, I wasn't mad at Lorenzo.
Yeah, but there's something about him having the guards do it as opposed to him doing it, right? Because if he did it, it's like it's a beat down coming from your father. But by him having the guards do it, that does make.
I thought that was keeping.
It takes away the disciplinary feel. It feels less disciplinary and more punishment.
More punishment.
I thought he did that, at least from my take, was that they had to do it in that fashion. He didn't want him to suspect it. He wanted him to walk off and think he was leaving. And then, because if you ever look at the way that scene is shot, when they're beating him up and he's on the ground, you don't see who Lorenzo is immediately. You see the bottom of his feet and his knees. Mm-hmm. And then they raise the camera to show him, as a whole, so that it's him. I felt like, anyway, that they put it in a position where Kane didn't have a shot. He just had to go in there and take that beating in the room. And he was like, you see what kind of power I wield even from here. So no matter where you are in or out of here, you can be touched. So I don't know.
That's the message I thought he was trying to send too. That you can be touched.
I get that. But if you're a dad, you can touch him. Like, I can touch you.
Right. But he's still in the bing. And if I get caught putting my hands on him, maybe I'm in the hole for a week. So I was thinking of it like that. I'm like, maybe, I get in trouble. This way, I order it, my hands clean,
That's true too. So I wanted to talk a little bit now about Tariq and Brayden, because their relationship this week was tested. And, it was because of Riley.
I'm in Ghost all over again.
Yep. And so she's out here, trying to push for the truth from Brayden, but also not willing to offer him the truth on what she did. Now that it's been exposed, Trace kind of backing up what happened in the room that night at the party. So it's kind of like Riley's about to find herself in some deep stuff, especially now that Tariq knows who her uncle is. So that was a nice surprise this episode. I wasn't expecting him to figure it out so soon, but the fact that he was trailing her and he actually found that out, I think that helps a lot, especially when we take it into where their Tasha's trial is going, because that gives him a little leverage for, you know, Davis to use.
Well, the thing is, though, you know, she was setting her own self up because Tariq was picking up on some things. You know, like he see her in the room, she on her side of the room. She mentioned about him being drugged, and then she was like, "What you talking about?" So Tariq was putting it together. He was starting to put it together.
Well, when Trace made the statement to him about him being in the bed, he was like, "That's when it clicked." And so he said, "I got to figure out what's going on with this girl," because he couldn't figure out what she did, but he knew he had to figure out what she's doing. And I think that let's put it this way again. That was the closest I've seen him come to Ghost. You know, period. Personally, I think that they need to, and that's just, again, you know me, I always got my little tidbits. I think they need to back off some of them getting in the middle of things, meaning that Tariq following her so closely and the way he was doing it, I was like, kind of in real life, if she just turned her head, you know, halfway, she would have seen him there. It's like he's not stealthy as Ghost was, or at least what his character seemed like it was. But I thought it was a dope way to write it out, where he was like, "Oh, okay, we gotta get rid of her one way or the other." So he intertwined the truth with what he wanted it to be, and it worked out.
Yeah. And you know, I do to go back to Brayden and Riley, like they had a little love scene early, you know, when we first got exposed to them this episode, and there was a few love scenes, and we talked about this very early in the season, how we might have felt uncomfortable with some of the love making, especially when we're going with a younger cast.
Right.
Like technically the show is based on, you know, college students, but some of these actors and actresses in real life are like a fresh 18. So it's like you do get a little discomfort watching. So I do appreciate that they're not going too far with the love scene.
Right.
It feels like they pulled up on a little bit of all of that. And I don't know if that was due to them editing differently, because it seems like the stuff that came in the first 5 episodes feels a lot different than what we're getting in these last couple of episodes. They might be getting a little bit of comments and stuff, and they may be recutting the footage so that you don't see all the scenes may have included. I, for one, am happy about that. Yeah. Because, like you said, it's one thing when you got a couple of 30-year-olds in the room, whatever. But when you got a couple of people that feel like they're just fresh out of high school, you know, it's a little dicey. But, you know, that's just me.
It's gonna be weird to see Tariq just because we watched him grow up. So
exactly. That's what I said.
I don't see that.
I feel like he's my little cousin or something.
I know. Listen. I watched an interview with him recently, and he was on Hot 97, and he was talking about how he out here vibing. I was like, I wanted to put him over my knee. I'm like, you don't need to be out here vibing.
I like the approach.
I'm not ready, Tariq.
And I like Tariq's comments when he called Riley and Brayden 2 little chicken cutlets.
That was raw chicken cutlets.
Raw.
Yeah, raw at that. Yeah, so I do like the little humor that they've been injecting in here. And then we were talking about Trace, and as predicted, he was ready to run to the police on Tariq, and Tariq is like, we got the police in our pocket too, so you only snitching on Brayden because I got an alibi.
Trace gotta go. Trace and Riley gotta go.
Look, Trace and Riley are officially on to get the hands list.
Yes, both of them on the hands list.
And so I wanted to close that section out by saying, you know, eventually Tariq and Brayden did patch up their relationship. So I hope that this will help them to see, like, not let women get in between them, because Tommy and Ghost had the same issue with Tommy. The mistrust.
I promise you, he's going to figure out something, and that's going to come back eventually, where he's going to figure out that she wasn't doing that. If you look at the history of the writing, if the history repeats itself the way it has so far, there'll be a time when he's going to say, yo, you knew that she didn't do X, Y, Z, you misled me, and then that'll be a gripe in season 2, I'm sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I'm sure they're going to
have to come clean about what she's doing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and you're right, because you know what's going to probably end up happening anyways. It's all going to blow up in her face when she gets back to Saks, and he finds out all that's occurred. it's probably going to all blow up. Or Braden seems pretty dumb. He may end up going back to her anyway.
That's what I think. I think Braden is not officially done with her.
Braden is like Tommy. They are helpless romantics.
That's what I thought. I was like, they are so open.
Yeah. So he's a little stupid. I think that he may end up back on that court. So we'll wait and see how these next few weeks.
Well, don't be surprised if you see Tariq trying to pay Riley off to send her away.
Oh, she's probably gonna get killed, and it may not necessarily be.
I'm with you. Something either she'll get killed or she'll be caught up in something real bad legally, because you see how stupid she was today. The judge said in this era, how could you get caught with weed in a position that's going to get you locked up? He said, he said 2 ounces. So she is not the brightest bulb. She does this she self-sabotages herself, obviously.
I think she's entitled. They come from, like Sax and them, they come from money and stuff, and I think she's a bratty kid. She's
but like
entitled.
those other kids are entitled too, Braden and Trace. But the difference is that they don't find themselves in stuff that self-sabotages. It's like the trait of that character seems like she's always going to be in trouble with the law, because he kept saying in the
she related to Sax, because Sax is always doing dumb stuff. So you can see the trait there.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay. So I want to switch lanes now and talk about Sax and Davis, since we brought up Sax. They were conspiring this week to get a new witness on the stand, and Sax brings in Paz, another Power alumni who has come back for PowerBook 2. And so Paz was, convinced that, Tasha had told her everything that was, how it happened. But Sax, when he goes to interrogate her, he really tries to make it seem like Tasha was being conniving and backstabbing and basically using her as like the convenient dummy, as he called it. So I was wondering what you guys thought about that scene and how Davis kind of covered his tracks. And he was like, you took money from James St. Patrick. Were you the one that was compromised and forced to change your tune? So I liked how Courtney said it too at the end, like she was trying to show Sax's legal savvy and show that he actually was a good lawyer, which I was
he is a good lawyer.
Yeah, I was impressed with him. But Davis, I think he got thrown a curveball and he had to come back twice as hard at Sax.
Well, you saw how he came up in the office and came at Sax.
Yeah,
he came in there like meth, not Davis.
Right.
Meth.
Sax literally jumped out his seat. I thought that was funny. I mean, look, the thing about it is like this. They're both slightly playing each other. Last week, it was Davis that played Sax, and this week it was Return Fire, and that's why he didn't have a problem doing it. Because when the DNC was like, "Nah, you're not giving me anything," they already knew that they were on to him. So he was like, "Fine, they were playing dirty last week, so I'm gonna play dirty this week." And you just felt the same fire that happened, in reverse.
Yeah, ultimately what I see going down, Davis is playing Sax. It's like 100% clear to me now. Like there's no question about it. Davis is absolutely playing Sax by saying, we're going to get Tasha off the hook and take down Tariq. And in Davis's mind, I see him getting Tasha and Tariq off and flipping it on Sax, so that Sax is the one that goes down for all his misconduct.
I think so too. But with them showing us Sax legal savvy, it may not be that easy. He might throw a curveball with Davis too.
He might, but ultimately, I think he's going down.
Yeah, he need to go down.
Yeah, and so, and Paz later went back to Tasha, at the end of the episode,
Paz annoyed me.
Really? Why do you say that?
She did, and I like that Elizabeth Rodriguez, isn't that her name, the actress? I think she's the bomb actress and stuff. But then I just, just how they were able to get in her head about what Tasha said and stuff. And when she went, and I was just like, Paz, go away. Whenever she went, like, she paid for your sister's funeral. You got the money. I was just like, shut up and go away. Your kid is back in school and stuff like what?
Nah, she was being used. I mean, you got to dig it like this. I think that her character was settled. If you look when he approached her, she said, "I'm good. I'm moving on. I'm not thinking about that anymore." She was trying to grow from it. and they dragged her back in. So it was supposed to be emotions overwhelmed, and then a lot of confusion was put in the mix because then he was giving her the doubt that Tommy killed, Angela. And so, the way it was set up, I got why her character.
Oh no, I got it. I wasn't mad at the setup at all. I was just annoyed at her because then she felt like she had to go back and ask Tasha and stuff. And I'm just like, you said you were done with it. You were good. Move on. Like your kid is back in school. Poppy's back in the home.
Yeah,
you
but when she went to see Tasha, you noticed that she settled down. It was that Sax got in her head.
That's what I mean. He got her head. But I was just like, you let him get in your head. Like, she paid for your sister's funeral. Your son is back in school. Poppy's back in the home. Like, Ghost gave you your Skrilla. Shut up and move on.
I don't think she's about to I think she's about to drop it, because if you notice her words at the end of the episode, she said, you told me that I should be the one to, step away and basically look out for myself. And so she's like basically telling Tasha the same thing now, like, stop protecting the killer. You need to step away and protect yourself.
Right, yeah, I saw her say that.
I think that Paz is like, she's found her resolve now.
She needs to.
It's gonna be very interesting though. I can't wait for Tommy's spinoff because they have been muddying his name so bad. Tommy gonna come back blazing
before the end of this season. We ain't gonna have to wait to his spinoff. He is coming back now that 2 Bits is out. 2 Bits is gonna call Tommy and be like, my nigga, they got your name in their mouth.
Yeah, they are throwing dirt on your name.
Watch.
Yeah, I can't wait for that.
I told you, I think 2 Bits definitely going to join the Tommy series. I think that's where they're going with that one.
Yeah,
I hope so. I
like 2 Bits.
Yeah, me too. And the only other thing is, looks like Sax's next person that he wants to call in to testify is Epiphany. So the ex, well, I don't know, I think she's still a stripper. The stripper from last season. So that could get tricky because Epiphany seemed like she can't hold water.
I know.
So
no.
I'm definitely looking forward to seeing what's going to happen. I know we talked about a little bit of the clips from next week, but it looks like obviously Tariq is yelling. The first thing we seen in the preview for next week is he's calling Tasha, yelling about somebody trying to kill him. So I'm like, was that Kane or was that like Ramirez?
I don't know if it was Kane, but Kane is definitely trying to kill him. So whether it's going to be, and I mean, I don't want to say too much because I guess they, how those clips can be misleading. But I did feel like what they kind of said in this episode was that Kane was like, he's an enemy now. They made a clear distinction today that Kane and Tariq are on two opposite sides of the court. And Tariq has once again fused himself in the place where Kane once was. By being there at the bar, he was already taking Kane's place. By being there with the body, he was already taking Kane's place. And so they're definitely wedging Tariq where Kane once was. So the more that Kane gets pushed out, the more that he's going to rebel and the more he's going to come back with a vengeance.
And he might have an ally because what he was saying to Ramirez, like when Ramirez was talking to Monet and she said, no, Tariq is with him. Kane gave him that look like, told you. So I was like, I said, then he may have an ally in Ramirez.
Kane's going to be Kane in the sense of saying that I think he's going to go away and come back. I think that by the end of the season or somewhere in season 2, he'll probably get pushed out a little bit for real and maybe to start another situation. And they're going to go to war on some level is what I'm seeing.
Yeah,
I think he might even kill Monet. I think he might even kill his own mom.
I think we're stuck with Mary. I don't think we're losing Mary no time soon. I think that you will probably lose Kane before you lose Mary. And I'm basing that on the way that the character is, but I'm also basing it on the star power that Mary's bringing to the show.
Absolutely.
I don't see Courtney, Courtney loves the total ego at the end of every episode. So I know she's going to be like, look, we want to keep the firepower with the best people, because you got to realize you don't have an Amari Hardwick anymore. You don't have any, you don't have 50 Cent anymore. You don't have the names that were kind of bigger names. Mary is kind of the biggest name on the show. with
Mary, Meth,
Tariq and Tasha.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
I say that
That's
because I feel like because Mary still has another career outside of Power. That's why I'm thinking like, how long is she going to commit to this? Because she may want to do music again. She may want to do other things.
I won't say much other than to say this. I think that if you look at her personal career was kind of leveling off at this point. Because Mary was always like on fire for like 20 some odd years. And now she's kind of getting to that point where it's time to do that fusion into the next, iteration of what your life is going to be. And I don't want to go too far off the show, but I just think that this is probably her trying to put her feet in the acting and see how deep she wants to go, because what was it, Mudbone or whatever she did?
Mudbound.
Mudbound, rather. That did really good for her. She's been able to kind of stretch her acting chops a little bit, so I don't see her leaving the show anytime soon.
Well, I would love to get to see more of her character and go like deeper into her backstory.
Yeah, me too. Well, Courtney said that there was going to be a big death this season, so maybe the big death is Tasha. Or Sax.
It's hard to say. They throw out so many things that are like, just give it to me when you got it.
Yeah, it is kind of a toss-up because it's like at this point, almost anybody could go.
Right. Right. Yeah. I mean, Tariq is going to be there. Tasha will be there. I don't think you're losing Tasha. I don't think you're losing Mary. I think, I think the people that you're going to be looking at will probably be, Kane is a possible, but I think it would be a mistake to take him off the show right now. I feel like he gives that show life to me. I think that.
Right. That's why I think that Mary would go before him.
I think either one of them are going.
He definitely gives the show life. I think that Diana and Drew, they could go, but I don't think they're gonna cut them because again, I think that Drew might get it because you never know.
And
they might kill Drew just to get back at them because he's not a golden child where he's the black sheep. You just never know which way they might go.
I do want to say something about Diana though, because I was impressed with her this week because she stepped up to Mary and she was really the glue that was holding that whole family together because she was the only one that any one of them trusts.
I agree.
So I was impressed with her and how they're portraying her character. And I think that even though she's kind of like the smaller role where she's kind of like just doing whatever Monet tells her, you see her starting to slowly but surely starting to assert herself more and like put her foot down a little bit more, standing up to Monet. So I'm very interested.
I think Tariq is becoming a better character too. I couldn't stand Tariq in the beginning. I was surprised.
Right?
I was on Clubhouse today, and in Clubhouse they had this whole thread about I hate Tariq, and I was like, I'm surprised that he's still getting the agitation at this stage.
Well, some people are changing. Even 50 said it. I saw an interview before the series started, and they said something about Tariq's character, how he was disliked and everything, and 50 was like, wait till you watch the series. She said, they didn't like Kanan at first either. And by the time he left the show, people did like Kanan. So I
didn't like Kanan when he came. I didn't like him when he left. So
I like Kanan.
I like Kanan too.
I like Kanan too. Because he was the comedic relief. And when you think about it, he was the one that got thrown under the bus.
Right.
So
I don't want to dial back into book one or offline. We'll have that conversation. But I felt like when he came on the show, that's when the show kind of made a left turn for me. I love book one. I just felt like a couple of the dynamics that they had, it was a little much, and I felt like Kanan's character was always the guy that went a little too far. I thought that we could have focused just on Ghost and Tommy and their crew the way it was. We didn't have to keep going backwards, and that's what that character kept taking them backwards to me. So I never liked him, but Tariq, I think he's more likable now than he was.
I like Tariq better now.
Tariq hasn't been on our Get the Hands list at all this season, I don't think.
No, he
wasn't in the beginning. He was. I had
in the beginning, yeah, because he still killed his dad. But
yeah, of course that. Yeah.
No, I'm saying just the whole first few episodes, I had issues, but because remember I started getting hate mail. because I was going in on Tariq in the show because I just, and it wasn't just me, but that's that's just what I am.
What do y'all think of Tariq and Diana? Like, do you think he really likes Diana? Like, you think he's torn between?
He apologized to her,
Diana and Lauren, because I think he likes Lauren too.
I think he likes Diana more than Lauren right this second, and I'm gonna tell you why I say that. He said something that was kind of very telling. He said, "You think I don't like you?" He said, "I'm trying to protect you." He didn't want. He didn't want her in the midst of whatever he had going on, and I thought that was very telling.
That was. I was like, okay, Tariq.
I think Tiffany, because I know that you always felt strongly about how Ghost, his dynamics were with Angela, and versus how he was with Tasha. And I think maybe Tariq saw that, and now he's taken, he's taken that as a learning lesson, where he's saying, Diana really blends very well with my lifestyle. She's somebody I can tell my deepest, darkest secrets to. But with Lauren,
you and I had another thing about Effie.
Oh well, yeah. We still haven't seen her come back this season.
You had Effie betrayed him. She does get him because she walks in the in-between worlds too, right? She's Ivy League, but she's also street.
Yeah, but in terms of Lauren, like I think if Tariq was to go down that path with Lauren, he would always have to be faking the funk, kind of like Ghost always was going with Angela. He was always trying to put on airs and trying to pretend like he wasn't who he really was. And so I think Tariq is like, he's going to start to, like you said, Tiffany, understand where his father was coming from. He's going to be put in that same position. And so I think that's why he's more drawn to Diana right now, because she is in the life and they can relate better.
But it's not completely clear to me that that's all he wants,
Right.
I mean,
I think he wants both.
I think so too. But at least with Diana, he doesn't have to fake anything.
Well, he can't relate to Diana about the school stuff, and that's where LaWanda was saying when Effie comes in, because Effie is in the same. She goes to Choke, so Effie's on the same. She's on the same education track that Tariq is on, and she in the life.
It's not like Diana doesn't want to be. The only reason Diana is not at school right now is because of her mother.
Exactly. So
I think that's why I say there's still a chance there.
I like Diana. I kind of like Diana more than I do Lauren, to be honest.
Yeah, she's smart.
Okay.
She's more earnest though. She's a little more earnest than Lauren is to me. I think Lauren is she's not superficial, but she's a character that lives in two worlds herself. And I think that she kind of bends towards, whatever's going for the time being, she'll kind of commit. She's a chameleon with it. Whereas Diana, whatever you see is what you get. She's strictly on a game and a lot of strategy.
I don't
think Lauren be down. Like if Lauren finds out who Tariq really is, I don't think she's gonna be down. She's gonna be out.
I don't know. She's a little rebellious. You see the way she rebels against her family. So it's like I can see Tariq using his relationship with Lauren to get status, kind of like Ghost was using certain relationships to get status in the political arena.
Oh yeah, so but now she ain't gonna be down with killing and stuff.
Oh no.
She ain't gonna be, that type of stuff. Like I think Lauren might be opportunistic and ambitious, but as far as the dark turn that Tariq is veering towards and stuff, that I think she would probably have a problem with. Like it would have been a whole issue if she saw that blood on his shirt.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, Angie was at least from the neighborhood,
That's true.
She was.
Yeah.
Good point.
So,
okay. We'll see. You guys have any last minute comments you want to throw out there? Any predictions?
No, I'm just trying to see who's trying to kill Tariq.
Yeah, that's gonna be interesting. I'm definitely looking forward to next week. I want to say thank you to everyone out there who is watching. Thank you so much for your viewership. Thank you for your time. Please make sure that you continue to follow us, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and click the notification bell so that you get alerted every time we post. Also, make sure you follow us over on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at The Spot Real Talk.
So, thank you for showing me love last week when I was out.
Yes.
Always, you know that.
For sure. We're glad to have you back.
And Ron, we're looking for you next week too. We miss
Absolutely.
you too.
Yes. So thanks again. if you guys go down in the comment section, let us know what you thought about this episode too. And let us know your predictions, because we want to know those as well. Because usually you guys are like spot on, and you always have like some very interesting things that I'm like, oh, hold up, I didn't think about that. So yeah, you guys are the bomb. Thank you so much for everything. And I think we are going to call it a night. So thank you guys again, and see you next week.
Bye.
Tell me, what's it really gonna be? What you wanted from me? Tell me, are you sticking around, leaving me out, 'cause I'm on the ground? Tell me, oh, please, what's it gonna be? Tell me, tell me.
It all started from that Publix break room when you walked inside the door, sat next to me, had conversations galore, had a smile bright enough to probably light the whole store. You said your heart was